Hey, welcome to Hustle Sauce. I'm Michael Sharkey, founder of Your Podcast Coach with Ryan Hartman, as always, co-founder of Thanks.io. And we had an idea for this particular episode of Hustle Sauce because, for full transparency, we're recording it on a Sunday morning. So you're like, wow, Sunday morning, who works on Sunday morning? If that's maybe what you're thinking about, like, but no, let's talk about like the crazy hours and the decisions you make when you truly are hustling. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't, and in my case, I've got a few of these side hustles and I think you do too. The most important thing for me has always been, if I'm going to take on this project, I'm going to chip away at it, and carve out little blocks of time around, life first. So the wife, the family, the kids, around the main day job. And then today, for example, my wife knew that I just said, hey, I'm meeting up with Michael at some point tomorrow. You know, I warned her yesterday and I sectioned off for my side hustle. I sectioned off an hour. So not to call it permission, but I kind of got permission to be sitting here with you right now, Michael. And I think that's something you got to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I can speak to that. I mean, you've got kids, I've got kids. And I think the truth of the matter is that, you might be thinking about your hustle all the time, but the times in which you're actually dedicating, work towards it, you put it really well. You just sort of have to chip away at it. And it's funny because one of the things I've learned for myself over the last probably 2 years of doing my variety of hustles is I like Sundays. I like to be able to get up on a Sunday morning, throw open my laptop. And some of it is sort of laying out my week. But the other part of it, to your point, Ryan, is my wife used to work at a cafe every Sunday. So I was like, well, if she's working, then I'm going to work. And then I just kind of got into this groove where, when you leave the Monday through Friday 9 to 5, or I should say when you're in the Monday through Friday 9 to 5, you put such weight on, oh my God, Saturdays and Sundays, the weekend, I'm going to party or I'm going to eat and drink and whatever. But when you're doing your hustles, you find the times where you can say, okay, I'm going to spend an hour on a Sunday to do this work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an appointment with yourself. And we've even, just for context for everybody else, we're even working around our main things during the week, but we kind of have a loose agreement between each other that usually 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, we're in different time zones, but we have a standing appointment that's blocked off for this hustle. That's a little flexible, but we're keeping our eye on the ball and making sure that these appointments happen. I think one of the reasons we've landed here this Sunday is because we had a little bit of a tough time this week doing that every day. So we're kind of making sure it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it is easy to let things, especially when you're doing multiple things. It's like, what if you can't let your day job slip if that's what you're doing, but you really, you got to put the focus and attention to all of it. And some of these things, like we're creating content, we're creating a content channel. It's an investment in the future. It's a long tail process.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of times throughout the week where I'm like, hey, I'm going to spend the next hour. And the only thing I'm going to focus on for the next hour is things that are going to bring money into my checking account, into my Stripe, into my bank account kind of
but
thing.
The funny thing with this is either of us have expectations that there will be money probably for 3, 6, 9, 12 months even.
What?
Surprise, surprise.
Just kidding. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's a long tail project. Like I said, you build the content, you're consistent about it, consistent about, even just what you said, keeping to the schedule that you have, or the appointments that you make with yourself or with your partner so that you do it. And whether it's Sunday morning or Friday morning. So.
Yeah. So I guess actionable, maybe advice, or, if you're thinking about, you got an idea, something you're working on, maybe whip out your Google Calendar. I'm going to whip mine out here on the screen. I don't know what I've got on here. I have a few different Gmail accounts. All right. So nothing sitting here Sunday. And then go and you create, this is what we did for Hustle Sauce. And I'll confess, my calendar, I put it on my main work calendar under like a code name. So it's like got this, and not that they've respected it, they just keep putting meetings at the same time, but block out the time. And I might do something like this where I say, okay, repeat. I can't assume everybody knows how to do this, but repeat daily, and it happens every day at from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And this might seem really basic, but what this does is by having it pop up on your calendar every day, whether you have to move it or not, it's there staring you in the face.
Yeah, and I cannot agree with you more on this. Like my calendar, I can agree with you on two fronts. First of all, that when I had the corporate 9 to 5 job, I would put stuff in my calendar and I would code name it. Yeah. So that when they would, because I had to share my work calendar, so they would go, oh, look, Michael's working on, validation reports. But I knew validation reports meant that's my time, But the other thing to that is when you see that show up every day, it quickly becomes the habit. So like, I'm in Central Time Zone. So from 9 to 10 every day, I have an hour blocked off for this. And I think at this point we pretty much keep it around a half hour. We're both respectful of each other's time. But you are 100% right. By just doing exactly what you just did and making that sort of intention and putting it in your calendar, now you kind of have some self accountability, and I think that's a big part of this.
And even if you don't have a name for the hustle, you can call it side hustle, SH.
Yeah.
Shh, keep it quiet, right?
Right.
Put it on there and block out some time to even just start thinking about this thing, even if you haven't gotten it off the ground yet. Take a half hour every day and really, really plan it out.
Yeah, and the other hack that I've seen work really, really well, and I did this. I actually did this. I haven't had a corporate job in about almost 2 years, but my last corporate job, I got up like a half hour early every day, which is challenging for me because I'm not a morning person. But that's what I did. I got up and I was like, all right, I'm, instead of doing, coffee and just, going through news articles or whatever, that was my time. Kids weren't up yet. The wife wasn't up yet, turned on a light in my office. And it was just like, whatever I was going to work on that day. And then what was so great about that is that if I did that every day, put that on my calendar every day and did that every day, then I felt like I really did something towards my hustle. Whether it was writing on a program or a proposal or, a good friend of mine that's how he wrote his book. It's just that half hour. And then you sort of kind of go into your day with whatever, either your 9 to 5 job or your normal hustle or whatever pays the bills. And it's like, all right, I have a better frame of mind going into this because I devoted that time, that investment of my own personal time in the morning to go do that. And so that's another hack.
And you paid yourself first. A lot of financial advisors talk about paying yourself first, literally, but you're paying yourself with that time first before you're giving it to a boss.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like back to the beginning, it's like, it's a Sunday morning, we're doing, another episode of Hustle Sauce, we're planning out our week. So whether it's Sunday morning or 6:30 on a Tuesday, you have to make those times if you're going to do it, whatever making that hustle work is, you got to find the time.
Yeah. Can we talk just quickly then, specifically to this idea of a content driven business? Cause we're talking about a lot of things that go into growing a hustle sauce type thing with podcasts and YouTube. Maybe we should share a little bit about in addition to the maybe half hour we spend together recording these, how much time we're each spending curating the content and getting it live.
Sure.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'll let you go first on that.
Well, I mean, I think, these episodes are 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. So, there's a lot more than just, hey, let's crack open a YouTube and see what happens. So like some of the practical things, like we have a couple Slack channels for ideas for episodes. If I use Slack, you use Slack, so it's easy, but having a folder where you're putting stuff in, I think is really, really key for idea creation when you're not doing it. Cause you're going to get an idea 12 hours from now that you're like, oh, I got to remember that. So capturing those ideas is really, really important, but it's all the technical stuff. Like, we talked in the last episode about setting up a Libsyn account for podcasting, and we'll dive more into that later episodes. But there is work that we're doing outside of just this to make all of this come together.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that that you're creating content for a half hour. And then usually for me, it's about 15 more minutes of like uploading the video, maybe putting some annotations, doing a redirect link to the doc. And then you're going to do some stuff on the podcast front, right? So call it another half hour.
Yeah, probably another half hour.
Yeah.
So if we spend a half hour getting ready to record and all that, daily, it's going to be about another half hour of getting everything uploaded, making sure the levels are right, things like that. So just that work.
And I'm hoping that hour becomes a lot longer. I hope it becomes tougher and the quality of production goes up and we won't have to spend more time editing or, other things go into the business. But in the beginning, an hour will get you pretty far. Right?
Yeah. And you're 100% right that like, that's the goal is you want, with any venture that you're growing, anything you're hustling, ideally you want that thing that's a half hour in the morning or an hour in the morning to turn into what you do all the time. I think the challenge comes when you try to accelerate that too fast. What I really like with what we're doing is we're devoting the right amount of time at the beginning. I want to look back when we're at episode 100 and go, man, what were we doing on episode 4? It was just us talking into a Zoom.
Right.
But, but at the same time, the content's still strong. And that's why people tune in. They don't tune in for flashy images. They tune in for content.
Yeah. And you just got to take the action. So that's,
Absolutely. Couldn't say it any better myself, because that's what kills most ideas, right? Inaction. Yeah. It's like, oh, I've got this great idea, but you never actually do anything with it. And, you and I are very similar. We have a lot of different hustling, which maybe that is counterintuitive because maybe there's too much action, and not enough focus, but that's okay. See what works.
Well, I found myself with a day job and one other big project and not much else other than trading crypto. So this fit for me. I don't know what you have going on, but I'll probably hit my limit. Around 3 or 4 of these things right now. This is it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the corporate job, and actually, this comes at a time where my hustles, before I came to Mexico, were part-time wedding officiant on the beach, part-time innovation specialist, podcast coach. So what this opportunity has done is given actually some needed focus to grow my podcast business, which is my day job is coaching people on creating unique podcasts. So that's why I'm getting clients, focusing on clients. Plus it's New Year's. Everybody wants to start a podcast.
Yeah. And I guess we can leave on that final point is we're both doing this. There's a lot of synergy and leverage with the other things we have going. This isn't, if you can fit your side hustle into the flow of everything else you have going and it feeds those other ventures, even better.
Yeah. And I'll speak to that because like I said a minute ago is, when I was living in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I would go to the beach 5 nights a week to officiate weddings. That was a lot of fun. It was really, really cool, but it had nothing to do with my business. Yeah. So yeah, what I'm really focusing on right now with my hustles is keeping that synergy. So it makes sense to do a content channel because that's kind of what I help people do. So to do, along with the podcast that I regularly do, now here's another extension of that, talking about something I love just as much, which is entrepreneurship, marketing, growing your own business.
And let's be honest, we're both doing this because links to our stuff to close out the episode today is just staring people in the face here on YouTube. So if you guys want to click on those links, go for it. And Michael, if you don't have anything else, I think we can be done for today and see each other in a few days.
Sounds good, man. Have a good Sunday.
All right, you too.